Welcome to another episode of Montreal Marketeers, and we have another special guest this week. The one and only Ottawa's favorite, Lucky Loush.
Hey, yeah! Shout out to Montreal Marketeers, man. It's good to have you guys in town.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome, awesome. Man. Welcome to the 613 capital city. I mean, for me, I love Montreal. I have a very intimate relation with Montreal. It's cultured, and it's the spot that I always go to sort of clear my head, and it's not that far from Ottawa. So it's really cool to have you guys, and you guys are always welcome back no matter what.
Yeah, you mentioned before in terms of restaurants and the food and the access to, great different food as well.
Yeah.
Culture and so forth. It's fun. It's an awesome place. We love Montreal. And I think that's why we kind of called ourselves also the Montreal Marketeers.
Right, but that's a play on words, right? We're talking musketeers.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
But there's two of you. But the third one is your guy. All right, boys. Well, that wraps up this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
I love it. So, Lucky Loush, let us know, what are you all about? What's Lucky Loush? What's the Lucky Loush gang?
Yeah.
I know you're on YouTube.
Yep.
What's the objective here, and what are you all about?
Yeah, no, that's a big one. So Lucky Loush, basically, I'll break it down. My real name is Ali. I'm Lebanese Canadian and first generation. My real name is Ali, and my nickname is Alushi. So that's a term of endearment. My parents call me that. All my closest call me Alushi, and then that evolved into Alush. And then this is Inception. So the fourth degree is now Loush. So to call me Loush is literally the fourth and most endearing name for the name Ali, at least for me. And then Lucky came through when I was when I was signing up for Instagram. I was thinking of a name that really kind of resonated with me and kind of flowed well with the name Loush. And I've always been a really huge fan of Lucky Luciano, which was one of New York's, the father of organized crime. And I was always super passionate and interested in organized crime, especially in New York and in Chicago. And Lucky Luciano, and I was like, oh, okay, that kind of sounds like Lucky Loush. He started the commission. He united the 5 families. He was, he was the boss of all bosses. I said, let's do that. And also, the term lucky, it plays a big role in my life because I was often called lucky, just in terms of how people described my achievements. And I never really liked the traditional, conventional interpretation of the word luck, which implied that things were happening outside of your control. When for me, I wanted to flip that and change it, where luck is not a product of not having control, but the opposite. For me, lucky gang, if you're a part of the lucky gang, then you're a part of the culture that understands that luck comes with preparation and opportunity. So if you're prepared and the opportunity comes around, then you can define yourself as being lucky. But if you're outside of those two things, then I personally wouldn't say that you're lucky, and that just is more of a call to action for myself to kind of just stay proactive and always stay on the offense.
Did you put it in there to constantly remind yourself of that as well? It's a kind of helps, it feeds the fire to say I have to show them that I created my own luck.
100%. So I'm not shy to talk about it. I do come from a divorced family, and I am the only boy, and I only have sisters. And so growing up, in high school, it was tough, being the youngest and having to kind of stick my chest out and defend and just kind of look after my sisters, and playing up that role required me to kind of go out and get a lot of my own successes. Nothing was ever handed to me. Nothing was ever provided as a favor or whatnot, nor that I want it. I always loved the chase and the journey, and so that's why I was like, hey, if you want to define me as lucky, that's cool, but I operate under a different definition. So I think you're right. Subconsciously, it serves as a reminder.
I like it. I think you need something to to feed the fire. You know, that fuel
the reminder of why am I doing this?
Why am I doing this? And it just constantly there. I find it helps a lot. So in that aspect, why are you creating a YouTube channel? Why are you on Instagram? What made you start this venture? I'm sure you're working before. You had to leave either a full-time job or part-time job. Why?
Yeah. So the question why, man, it all started when I broke the conventional. I broke the cycle, and it happened really, really gradually. Like I started right after university. I drank the Kool-Aid, and I really bought into, they call them the golden handcuffs. Okay, they're really pretty and they look great and they're worth a lot, but don't you dare ever try to move. And I bought into that, which served its purpose. I think it was great, but I ended up realizing all of the flaws that came with the handcuffs, and I started to change my habits, my routines, going to bed. I stopped giving into the cycle. It's a very cyclical life. You go to bed at this time, you wake up at that time, you buy your coffee, you get into the elevator, you see somebody, you talk about the weather, you ask if it's Friday yet, you go on with your life, you hate how things are going, right? But you put on a smile for others and for yourself in the mirror. I had to stop. And as a huge extrovert, I needed another creative outlet. And I said, all right, who am I? I needed to redefine myself. And I know that you guys are huge followers of Gary Vee. I got onto Gary Vee about 2.5 years ago on Udemy. He had a building a personal brand course, and it was for $5. I couldn't say no to that. Change your life for $5? Why not? And what basically ended up happening in that course was he forced me to become self-aware. And I think self-awareness is really where I realized who Ali Shaitani is, who Lucky Loush is, and what I can do for myself and the people around me. So I started Lucky Loush as a way to celebrate the culture, both as a Lebanese Canadian, as a Lebanese person, to reattach myself with my homeland, being a first-generation Lebanese Canadian. I wanted to reestablish my relationship with Lebanon. It's been through so much in the past 30 years. And the mainstream had really taken over the storytelling, right? The narrative had changed. And I didn't agree with the narrative. And I hated how others were telling my story. Others were telling our story. You don't have the right to do that. This is our story to tell. So I said, I have a voice. I'm articulate, I speak 3 languages, I know technology, and I know social media. Let me go ahead and try to build a brand that can speak for the diaspora, all of the Lebs living outside of Lebanon, for those living inside, the Arab world in general, North Africa, the Middle East. It's been through so much in the past 15 years where it's been dragged through the mud. Right? The Arab name, the Arab culture, people only remembered us for certain things, very negative things when you think about Hollywood and the mainstream. I said, let's take back the narrative, let's take back the culture, and let's celebrate the things that we love about it while showing non-Arabs and non-Middle Eastern people that they can celebrate with us, and there's so much to enjoy in that lifestyle. So, all of that under the umbrella of upgrading and motivation, I think is really where Lucky Loush was born. And as much as I try to explain who I am and what I do, I gotta admit to you guys, a lot of it is evolving with the journey. So that's just half my story. The other half I'll have to tell you, later on when more has happened. But so far, it's just been a thrill.
And it sounds like there is no difference between Lucky Loush and Ali. Meaning when you put the mic on or the video on, it is you, regardless. If I were to meet you
at this point now, it seems like that.
It seems like I'm interacting with you. And
when you had the golden handcuffs on, was Lucky Loush in hiding, or was he?
That's a good question. Lucky Loush was banging at the door. Lucky Loush was in a straitjacket. And because I was able to have good credit, because you work for the feds, and because you were able to have a good status among your peers, and I was seeking validation from my parents and from my family, especially as a first generation. My parents, they didn't have what we have. They came through during times of war or times of difficulty so that we can have more. And I achieved that. Check. Then I got hungry. The appetite was growing at that point. And that's when Lucky Loush was starting to take over.
Because it seems like the way you're describing it, your your goal throughout all this, whether it was studying hard, getting the job that, in terms of status wise, like made it seem like as a Canadian Lebanese, like you made it. Like you're making Arabs proud around the world, but you're not doing it in the way that's yourself.
That's right.
And it seems like that's when the real transition happened. Like, I'm still going to try to make everybody proud, but I'm doing it my own way. That's right. A way that has a cultural impact on everybody. Yeah. Like, that's super interesting to me, where it's these, you talking about your parents and making them proud, your sisters, that you want to protect them. Like, you always look like, it always seems like you had that behind, but not just the method you want to get it towards people. Like, this is what it means to be Lebanese, Canadian Lebanese, or just a Canadian immigrant in general. Yeah. So for other immigrants, or even for, let's say, Canadians, like regular Canadians, like, this is what my life is. And we all interact together. So that's what I find very interesting about your story and how you, even your YouTube videos and all that, like, it's super cool to see that, how you portray that.
Thank you. It really was a matter of getting creative with it and figuring out how I can hack it. And that I think is what ended up happening. I hacked it in a way where I said, okay, I've proven to everybody that I can do it, especially my pops, right? Like Papa Loush, he is, such an inspiration to me because he came with nothing, 16, 0, nothing. And this is where you are right now. This is a product of his ambition. Mm-hmm. And I showed him, and that my mom as well, and everybody, that I can do it, okay? Don't worry about me. I can bounce back anytime, right? And once he realized that the game in the 80s is not the same game that we're playing today, that switch was key. Now he has faith. He has the most faith. And as soon as that happened, that's when the shackles came off. Lucky Loush was able to run. Because before then, it's so hard,
I was going to say, like, the game's changed dramatically. Yeah. The rules are broken now. It's very different to enter in a certain market and to do what you're doing, or you get a job in a certain other, market. Yeah. You can go and do it. I mean, with the technology today, anyone could become stars. To
even if you're talking about parental pressure, like, for them it's like, no, come here as an immigrant, work your ass off, don't spend money, save your money. And I did all this on the family. Exactly. Like, I want to put you through school. Yeah. Follow the same rules as me.
That's right. Yeah.
But then it's like, but your rules were different than our rules.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's a lot of, I think even for me, and from what I hear for you, it's like, you kind of feel guilty. Yeah. Because you know how hard they worked.
Yes. Guilt.
But then after you're like, but it's not the same game. Yeah. Because now we're working hard, but in a different way. Now we're trying to break away from the mold. And I find it's like super interesting.
Yeah, because I think my parents always said, become a doctor or go in the medical field. Yeah. I saw one of your
lawyer engineers.
Right. And it's true. But that's what they envision, right? You say you gotta, because that's the top. But what is the top now? The top's drastically changed. The top is to be happy.
Yeah.
So what makes you happy?
And that rebellion started at a really young age. But it's around 10, 11 years old. I used to tell my pops, I'd be like, hey, pops, listen, I'm gonna become an engineer during the week, but I'll be a garbage man on the weekend, And he was like, nothing wrong with that job, but you got to think in their terms, right? Like, for them, they just thought better of us. And so he would kind of laugh. And that was the time when I was starting to break out and think in other terms. And you make such a great point about paying homage.
Good point.
Yeah, great point.
We have a thing that we keep on going back.
No, because one time you got 2 grades and I got 1 good, then it wasn't good enough for me.
Oh,
he
so
okay. I got a good and a great.
You got a good grade? Okay, good. You keeping tabs?
Yeah.
Sweet. Whoever buys me drinks, we'll get the most.
Tequila,
yeah. But it was just a matter of, how do you pay homage, right? How do you not disrespect the people that came before you while trying to pursue your own ambitions?
Yeah.
How? Mm-hmm. That's so hard. And yes, Italian culture, Lebanese culture, Mediterranean culture, you're a little bit of property, as a child, but I think that comes from a good place.
Yeah.
I think that comes from a protective instinct that they have, especially coming to a new country. As welcoming as Canada is, my dad had zero issues integrating, welcomed, and he knew he needed to just bust his ass and work like a motherfucker and make it to where you need to become undisputed at that point. He did it, and now I'm showing him that I can do it. Become so fucking good at your craft that you become undisputed, and people have no other choice but to either like you or hate you. Either way, they're paying attention.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, you can't play the middle and stuff like
you
this.
can't play the middle.
Yeah.
And you know, the audience is so educated now, right? The user knows when you're playing the middle. I remember, I love going back to my first early videos. Hey guys, my first intro for my channel. Hey guys, welcome. I'm Lucky Loush, and just trying this out right now. I'm not really sure where this is gonna go, but hopefully you like what I have to offer. And you know, and you could just kind of tell, like I'm treading carefully.
Yeah.
I don't want to dislike. I don't want to hate. I don't want anything. You know. And now fast forward, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Lucky Loush coming at you live with another video. Oh my God, I'm feeling good. Are you guys feeling? You know what I mean? So that, like, and there's a whole, that's a journey, man. Like you can't just, you gotta respect the process.
Yeah.
Because it'll kick your ass.
I don't
if
know.
You don't.
I don't know if it's the same for you. I remember I was the first one. We don't really edit our audio files. We just release as is, but just put a bit of intro music at the beginning.
Sure.
Listen to it. Make sure nothing really bad happens. I remember listening to my voice and I was like, oh God, this is so annoying. And I was like, I'm talking, do you want to edit? No. So it was like first 5-6 hours, like, why do I talk like that? Why do I say it like that?
Yeah.
But anyway, you keep on doing it. You're like, well, I don't give a shit.
You don't give a shit.
Like, this is who I am.
That's right.
And then the video came out, and if we were to start with video, I think it wouldn't have worked out because I was too nervous on the video.
Yeah.
But now I'm doing it. I'm like, no, this is who I am. Like, I want people to see me for who I am. And you do build that. Just, you know, get your personality shine.
Yeah.
Some people will be annoyed at it. People are annoyed at me anyways. What am I going to do about it? It's either no one's going to pay attention to me because I'm bland, or some people are going to love me, some people are going to hate me. I'd rather have a lot of people I hate that love me, and I'll take all the people that hate me as well.
100%.
But to be bland, like, there's no point.
The ones, so I always study others in my industry, and I'm always very observant. I like to watch. The ones that have come up and have fallen were always the ones that were not able to sustain the farce, the mockery, the image that they were trying to project. It didn't come natural to them. So you just described the marathon, not the sprint, as they say. How are you going to sustain a new career, a lifetime of doing this, if you're not being true to exactly who you are? That's number one. Number two, how dare you have the audacity to not appeal to the person that's exactly like you, that enjoys your style, that wanted to consume content that way? How could you ignore them and try to appeal to people that will just throw you away like you're nothing?
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, when I brought on Els on the Lucky Loush channel, I that's my way of paying tribute to the more introverted, quiet types that are willing to just watch. They're very pensive. They like to think. So they're not doing fucking jumping jacks like me or a handstand in the middle of the video. But there are other people that like that. Those are the people that are like probably doing it too. but you can't deny. You also can't deny the people that are okay with just sitting there watching and they're absorbing, and they're like, okay, I can relate more to that guy over the other, and that's okay with me.
Yeah.
Do you find bringing on him adds an extra target market, or like alters a bigger target market? Does it give you an audience that you wouldn't have get access to otherwise, do you think?
I think that that's a really good question. That's definitely not what I was thinking in bringing him in. I think that the main addition, the value that he brings is how much of me he brings out.
Yeah, I was going to say, listening to your videos, it's like you see not necessarily two sides of you, but the full aspect of you.
Yeah.
Where it's the outgoing, but at the same time, like, you do see some interactions where it's like, it's different.
Yeah.
It's really, it's like authentic coming out. Because, like, you know, I'm like this because I am, but I also interact with people in life, and I have another side of me it's just me. Like,
that's right.
I go over and he sees you be ridiculous, he laughs.
Yeah.
So you bring out the extrovert out of him.
That's right.
So the interaction is super nice, you know?
100%. And it was a matter of like just taking how we are in real life, and I just turned the camera on.
Yeah.
Because we watch videos all the time. We react all the time. We make people like piss their pants. All the people that we chill with, we're just known. It's Loush and Els like that. And I'm like, man, let's give this to the world while celebrating the culture, while celebrating the lifestyle at the same time and building the brand. Why not? It's a win-win.
Yeah.
And you know, that way, going back to the authenticity, people can just tell. Like, again, the user knows when you're being fake. The user knows when you're putting on a show. And that's a sprint. It's not a marathon. And a lot of people ask me, the first question they ask me when I started this journey, and even to now, is how much money do you make? You know, like, how do you?
Very frustrating question to get.
It is, especially when you've done so much self-awareness exercise and deep thought into who you are and what you're trying to do, and then they're just trying to reduce you down to monetary ad revenue. I tell them 0. I said, I don't make anything, and that's exactly the way I want it. And I said, if you're starting off with that question, then your intentions are all wrong.
Yeah.
You're the foundation to your house.
You've already lost.
You've
lost the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't. There's no cheat code.
Yeah. No.
There's no Nintendo. Back,
It's
front,
right.
start, select, and oh yes, I just got unlimited lives.
I think
it doesn't
I
exist.
think it's a very good filter question too, because for me, the people I ask, anybody that's watched or listened to our podcast or watched our videos, the people that are actually really interested don't even really care about that aspect of it.
Right.
Maybe at the end where it's just like, oh, maybe I want to start. And they're scared of taking on either full-time or on the side, like, oh, I want to start, how much do you actually make? And it's like, well, it's not really the goal or whatever.
Right.
But you see at the beginning, like, oh my God, you get to interview all these people, you get to understand their story. It's so interesting how they got there. I see why you're doing it.
There you go.
Like, that's the target audience right there.
There you go.
Like, when you ask, like, those are the people where it's... In reality, when we started our podcast, there's 2 things. One, we used to listen to other people's podcasts, and we're like, shit, so amazing, NPR, How I Built This.
Yes, yeah.
Oh my God, it's so crazy, a story. I wish you could have asked about this. That was super interesting.
Yeah.
Fuck Vince. Why don't we just interview people and ask them what we want to hear?
Just do it.
Like, just do it.
Yeah.
And then it's also, we can ask them, but how much are we going to learn doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's what we are. Like, we the people we enjoy in marketing the most to talk to are the people that we learn off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
We have discussions. It's not just like, oh, very interesting, let me go home. No, let's talk. Let's see. Like, oh, you're wrong about this. Why? Oh, I never saw it that way.
That's right.
But you never see it this way. And it's like just the interaction between everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People that get that the monetary is not important. It's really like, what do you get out of it? How much fun are we doing this? Like, like we're both married. We both have work, and we find the time to do it because it's super fun. Like, we really enjoy it.
And it's one of the most selfish things we do because we get the most out of it.
You get the most out of it. The return on your time and effort is multiplied.
Yeah.
And like I have, it's a matter of the what you just described is what Waka Flocka said on a Breakfast Club interview once. I have it upstairs on my wall. I wrote it down. There's 3 steps. Take game, add value, make it yours. He said that's what Michael Jordan did. That's what Kobe Bryant did. They're all playing the same game, but they added value and they made it theirs. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh my God, I'm not, because there was so much creative pressure. Yeah. I'm like, what's the big idea? Like, what am I going to bring to the world that's revolutionized? Nobody's ever done it.
That's so educated. What's the big idea? Like, take the classes. It's like, it's so university focused.
It really is.
It's asked in a manner that constrains you.
Exactly.
The shackles are there on that question.
Yeah. And it's like humanity, if you look back on all the inventions and the ideas, humanity is one big brainstorming session. Right? Like you don't sit alone, lock yourself in a room and say, okay, now it's time to think by yourself, stuck in your own mind. It's a brainstorming session. It's a big, huge whiteboard. Everybody's adding and contributing. And there's no more value that you get than looking at somebody else that's doing it proper and just putting your own flavor on it. And that right there is proprietary. Nobody can ever duplicate what it is you guys are doing, and there's no better feeling in that case.
Because in the end, especially for you, even for us, like, you are the brand. Like,
that's right.
Like, it's not, in the end, it's not Lucky Loush. If you change your name, if people recognize you as the source of content or entertainment or whatever it is, like, it is you.
Yeah.
And that's like, we even had a discussion like, oh, should we trademark our names? I'm like, well, if someone steals our name, who cares?
It
We'll
doesn't
just
matter.
call it something else. It's us. Like, that's how I have to see it.
That's right. Yeah, and that's the brand loyalty that people have, and they're not, Montreal Marketeers is really just a way to introduce yourselves.
Yeah.
But people, like I said, they're sticking around for other reasons.
Yeah. So for you, we talked about, content and all that. What I want to go into is, how did you change it? Did you change your strategy? I'm assuming yes, like throughout the beginning to where you are now. How did you decide? Like, obviously you want to be yourself, right? That's a pillar. But does that mean you want to be yourself, like you like Instagram, so you just want to do Instagram? Or do you actually say, well, no, I actually get more traction on YouTube. Let me find a way to be myself on YouTube. Like, how does that work out for you? I'm always pivoting all the time. And I don't romanticize my relationships with content or a platform. It really is, I have to think about what platform that serves my needs the most, just from a personality perspective. And how do I think I can perform and add the most value? Like, I don't want to just show up to show up. I'm not going to show up to a party and then just act awkward while I'm there. If you're going to be there, be present. Engage. And I noticed that on some platforms, I don't do so as much as on others. And I know for me, as a, self-proclaimed charismatic extrovert, I think that YouTube is the platform where I can really show my strengths and triple down on them. And Instagram is that visual storytelling. I really like the personality that comes out there, because I can really shine through the visuals, and with the written word at the bottom, it's very brief. So I've pivoted mostly when I felt that there's just another way for me to tell my story in a creative way, but I'm not married to it. I'm willing to let it go at any moment, and I'm not stubborn enough to just keep doing it until like I can't force it to work, is what I'm saying. And by doing that, and that's a very delicate balance, right? Because they say, don't stop, keep going, or stop doing what isn't working. Focus on your strengths. Keep focus on what's working. So it's like you're being pulled at both ends in that regard. So it's a judgment call. Sometimes you got to keep at it. Like, for instance, my reaction videos do well, very well, and some topics do far better than others. Do you mind clarifying for reaction? We're talking about you're looking at a video and you're just commenting on top of it and giving your own flair to what's happening?
Yeah, so I choose strategically what videos I feel will get the best reaction out of me. So I do it for myself.
Interesting.
Not for like a job. So once that check mark is done, then I say, okay, I bring Els on board. Then we start doing our research about the video. I try to find out as much as I can before watching it without spoiling anything. Because the people that are watching me react to this video means something to that user. And I have to respect that relationship. And so I try to get context. What is it about? The Moroccan music videos, their hip hop industry is really evolved. I had no idea. I've been learning so much about North African culture, their dialects, the Middle Eastern culture through this process. So I kind of figure out as much as I can about what's being said and what's happening in this video. And then when the reaction happens, I try to be as thoughtful as I can, because it's not just a person sitting there watching. It's more than that. It's not about views. It's not about subscribers. It's about taking game, adding more, and then I make it mine, right? And
so you don't like, you critique it in a manner that's tasteful to both someone who would appreciate that video to begin with, but also wants to see how you'd react to it as well, and your comments on it.
Yeah, both. Yeah, it's double-edged, where it's like reacting to what's happening, but also giving the viewer another point of view. That's why I'll put in my title Lebanese reaction in English, because then I'm saying, okay, now I'm attracting some demographics where it's like, oh, okay, I never really thought what a Leb may think of this Moroccan music video being spoken in English. So there's layers to it. So I think that adding that kind of value and just celebrating whatever's happening in the video in a really thoughtful, critical, intelligent way while having fun, goofing off with it, enjoying the culture and being a part of it, I think is the best recipe for me. And like I said, I've done my homework. I've seen the reaction channels that are doing it right. And my variable for success is not subscribers or views. It's quality, and that's just something that I'm really after.
So if someone's listening in and wants to check you out, what would you recommend? A specific episode or video that like is off the top, that's fun? Just to like tell them, okay, if you're gonna start with me, start with this one because it's just so much fun to do.
That's a good one. So right off the bat, just thinking of my most recent videos. Actually, non-reaction video was all of my Lebanon vlogs. So I did the Lucky vlog, and I said during this trip to Lebanon, which was last summer, I'm like, I need to document this entire journey, and I need to show people what Lebanon is really about, because a lot of people have it wrong. So that's when I really started my journey to change the narrative about the culture and where we're from. I was sick and tired of Lebanon being portrayed in a negative, dark light. And there was so much more it had to offer. So all of my Lebanon
that was
vlogs,
sorry, just to interrupt, but is that you already had your Lucky Loush? That was when you were kind of doing a pivot.
Yes, that was a pivot.
That was a pivot. So you saw a pivot and you took advantage. You said, okay, I'm going to take this direction.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I actually had before that Lucky Lift, which was a fitness series that I did, and I took them down right now because I just really wanted to rebrand the page and repivot. When you start doing something that you really love, that's exactly what you need to just start doing. Start creating based on what you think is important to you. So in my case, it was my country, Canada. I did some videos, commentary videos about Canada and what was happening here. Fitness is another area that I like. So that way the creative pressure is kind of off, and you can just focus more on learning the trade.
It comes natural. Yeah. I just feel like
with that process, I learned how to edit. I learned how to find royalty-free music. I networked. I connected with other creators. That was the journey. More than becoming Casey Neistat or becoming whoever else was doing it really well. That didn't matter to me. So the vlog was a huge pivot. And then I realized, holy shit, there's a huge creative burden on me with vlogging as well. It takes so much time, and I don't live in New York City, and I don't ride a boosted board. Like, it's just not there to satisfy a daily appetite. So then I pivoted again, and when I reacted to my first Moroccan music video was when things really exploded. And it was a video called OMG. So if you guys check out my reactions right now, there's a video called OMG, which was our first introduction into that world, and now the rest is history. And it was really funny because me and Els were really just trying to get to know each other on camera. Like, we're best friends in real life, but it was one of our first together. Yeah. And we were being introduced to all of these amazing hip-hop artists that are like fucking huge in the Middle East. But for us, it was like, oh, cool. Oh, Shafeen. Oh, his name is West. His name is Mad. Like, we didn't know who they were, but these guys are like, they're idolized. So you can check that video out. There's another video where I really took it the extra mile. And it was a video called Het Harfini. And it starts with a 7, which is the H in Arabic when written in English. And in that, my entire intro was I had a pen and paper, and I was telling Els, I said, bro, we've been doing it wrong the entire time. I've been paying attention to the comments. I've been listening to the people. We've been getting the rappers wrong. We've been naming them wrong. We have the dialect wrong. In Morocco, they speak a combination of Spanish, English, French, and African dialect. There's Darija, there's Arabic, there's this, there's that. Did you know that it borders Spain by just a few kilometers to the north? Like, what the fuck? What have we been doing? So I start hitting them with the notepad, and that was a really huge turning point, because it was then that the audience realized that we actually gave a shit.
Because you spat out these key comments that you had to research. You just wouldn't have known.
And I didn't have to. I wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in it for the culture. I love this stuff. But then there's other reaction channels that would do it. And they really, I don't feel as though they really are appreciating what's happening in the video. And they're just plugging their IGs, plugging their channels, asking people to follow and whatnot. And it's like, you're really missing out, and the audience knows, like, they can tell. And that's when I really realized, I was like, holy shit, we're onto something. We're onto something. We need to just stay to this course and celebrate the culture and love what we do. And then the rest is going to come.
There's the concept that we bring up a lot, and it's the true fan concept.
Yes.
And it's
the true fan.
Usually it's the number that's given is 1,000. Always can vary, obviously, but it's not about the actual viewers. It's how many people are fans of yours.
That's right.
Because they'll be your, like Seth Godin call them whales, the people that actually consume a lot of your content, that will push it out.
Oh, nice.
Those are the ones that you really want to get, because those are your brand ambassadors. Those are the people that will sell you for nothing. They'll tell you, "Oh my God, you see this video? It's amazing." Like,
and they want to back you up. So if you have something to sell later on down the line, it's not to make money, but the fact that these guys have been consuming your content for so long and appreciate it, they want to return the favor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you have something at a $10 info session or whatnot, they'll buy in.
Yeah.
So that 1,000 fans, what's the value?
It's not even just buy in. They'll tell everybody about it.
Yeah. So he was saying it could be, businesses could survive and thrive on just 1,000 fans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
basically the core is more important than everything.
Yeah, 50,000, 100,000, all this bullshit we can say.
I've heard of that 1,000 fan theory before.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
It seems like that's the approach you're getting, because you're not like, if you're gonna watch my video, I want to make a video for the fan that actually understands what I'm doing.
That's right.
And that really appreciates it. Whereas a lot of reaction videos, you're right. It's, this video is very big right now. I don't really give a shit about the video, but I'll make a reaction video about it.
That's right.
Like, that's usually the theme that goes around, right?
Just because.
Yeah. It's like, what's the best video on YouTube today? Oh, top one in trending. Let me react to it, and that's how it is.
Yep. And they don't appreciate who they are.
Yeah.
You're selling yourself every time that happens. I understand the strategic value of gaining more awareness and just latching on to whatever is trending and hot at the moment, but do it in a way that adds value and that builds a real community. Like, I had one person, out of all the thousands of amazing comments that I've been receiving, one person stuck out from a negative perspective, and I never focus on that, but I always empathize with negativity. I always consider where they're coming from, what their situation is, and how disconnected with me they are. And that's the distance, right? That's a healthy distance at that point. But he wrote, he typed in very casually, he's like, too much talking, your reaction is boring. And I'm like, perfect. Excellent. I'm so happy that that's the impression that I gave you, and I hope that you didn't subscribe to me.
Yeah.
Because I clearly am not what you were looking for. And my friend, there is plenty of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So go out and have a great time.
Yeah.
And to me, it's, that saying, I'd rather people hate me for who I am than love me for who I'm not.
Yeah.
It's just, that's just it, man. Like, that's how I create a long-term marathon perspective, because once you come to terms with the fact that you're not going to please everyone, and as long as you're happy on the inside, then you can actually do it forever. Yeah.
I'm always curious, I'm going to start asking more of this type of questions to people, but were you always into Instagram, social media, active, showing pictures? Hey, look at me working out, I'm sweating,
Nope.
My six-pack. Like, were you into that? Or, I'm just curious. No,
not your six-pack.
My six-pack is the Corona we have.
The Corona. Nice. Hey, man.
But
good for you.
I'm curious, 'cause I'll be honest, myself, I was never, and I still am, I wouldn't call myself like fully hooked on Facebook and checking it every hour and so forth.
Yeah, you're an extrovert, but you're more of a
a
people person.
Yeah, person.
On social, you wouldn't know on social media. If you don't follow me, you'd be like, oh, this guy has a few posts on his personal account. He probably doesn't go out traveling as much. Little do you know, like, I love traveling. I've been to Spain, Italy, been all over the place, and I love it.
Nice.
I love meeting different people. If I can't understand your culture, great. Like, let's have some dinner and let's talk about it.
Yes.
That's why I have, or a drink of wine.
Yeah, over the wine.
Yeah, exactly.
Over the wine.
I think it's Anthony Bourdain, I think, said culture is understood the best with food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like
it.
this whole no rereservations, all
Yeah,
that, all
I
built
love
on
that
that
show.
The best thing ever. Yeah.
And even Gary Vee said some of his best business deals happen over drinks.
Yeah.
And I think that so to answer your question, no, I've never been that active, because I do social media as my career, right? I did it for the government, and I'm still doing it now. And I studied it and I understand it enough to appreciate its value, but to also stay away from its risks. And I think that we're still trying to figure out what our relationship with social is, just as a society.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have it wrong. Social media is meant to be an extension of your current life and not a replacement of the life that you want people to think you have. And so I quickly saw the threat. I quickly saw the risk. And so for that reason, I said, I will only engage in post when I have something of value to say that supplements my current life, not replaces it.
Yeah.
I'm happy in real life. I have a great marriage. I have great friendships. They belong in real life. If there's a value that I think my extended network through social can enjoy and consume,
learn from
and whatnot, here you go. But in terms of chasing this virtual world and letting people think that I'm living a life that I'm not, I call that peacocking. A peacock is a very weak, frail bird. I don't think it flies, but when it wants to attract, it goes ahead and does its thing. Meanwhile, the eagle is busy flying, out of sight, hunting, doing the real work. Nobody ever sees him. So I'd rather be, the latter. And once I started the personal brand and I started Lucky Loush and I said, okay, now I have more to offer. I switched my Instagram page from personal to public. And I said, everything you guys are going to be seeing here is going to have a value added from the Lucky Loush perspective, because people that know Ali Shaitani in real life will know me in real life, right? And I have other platforms for other purposes. My personal Facebook is one. Email is another social media nobody talks about. Text message is a social media that nobody talks about, but it's just layers of how public you are, right? Like those vary. I see so many people posting on Facebook to their significant other, really content that belongs in private, like that would have been better served in a text. Really just expressing your unconditional and perfect love for the person and posting all these pictures and whatnot. Meanwhile, they're miserable and their marriage is in shambles.
Yeah.
But you have other couples that are killing it, super happy, traveling. They don't say a word.
Yeah.
They'll post maybe once or twice a year. You saw my first post from Mexico was me just shirtless, stretching back completely with my belly hanging out, because everybody is just trying to show their six packs on IG. And I said, you know what? I think people just want to see something different now.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to provide. Enjoy life. Make fun of it. You need to be humorous about yourself if you're going to enjoy other people's company. You need to love yourself if you're going to love others. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was for me, it was very much a thought out relationship with social media. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I guess one of the last questions was talk about like staying true to yourself and all that.
Yep.
Does there ever come a point for you where there's the reminder of the golden shackles, which I love it, by the way. Never heard it said like that, but like,
thank you.
Very, very nice way to say it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, I don't want to do it this way, but if I do it this way on the short term, I'm gonna get X out of it. Like, does it ever pop in your head of like, I can betray my convictions a bit just so I can get this little boost now? I won't do it all the time, but I could do it now. Like, does that ever happen?
Go against the grain slightly.
Not even like you're always going against the grain, but let me go with the grain a bit.
I see.
You know what I mean? Like, do you ever? Does that ever happen to you? Like the temptation of like, let me post a video a reaction video that is really just me reacting, no research done. I know it's gonna get a lot of views. Maybe I'll get my sub count up this time, and long term, like they'll see who I really am and they're gonna stick.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think that yes, it's important to remind yourself who you are with content like that, because then you retake control of your own narrative. Actually, it's funny. We were filming last night, me and Els, and we go through the list of all of the top videos that are being suggested. And it's funny how it works. When we started, we were looking and researching content to react to. Now, the floodgates have opened. Like, I have thousands of videos that I can react to. Like, I have work for days. I was actually talking to Els yesterday. I'm like, bro, I think we should be posting twice a day, or maybe go from 5 days a week to 7. And we're like, no, we want quality over quantity. Let's keep our current cycle. So yes, to answer your question, we have to, we were going through the list, and I said, bro, let's react to the videos we want to. Right? Because I don't want this to turn into a job. We don't have to follow this list. Right? Let's look at the ones that look interesting, that have cool titles. We'll watch 5 seconds of the beginning of each one just to get a first impression. We'll pause it, we'll stop it, we won't watch any more. And let's enjoy it, because I noticed near the end, because we do filming sessions, like we'll knock out like 8 or 10 reactions in one night, But by the end of it, it feels like a really kind of like we're kind of just going through the motions a little bit. And every time I notice that, I stop the video, I hit the pause button, and I'm like, bro, let's change the video. Let's react to something else completely different. I don't care how popular this is. Let's get back into our zone. So yes, protect your zone and create within it, even if it means diverting from what's really working at the moment. Because then you stay true to who you are. And if I can relate this to storytelling, because I know that's sort of your realm. I'm such a huge fan of the anti-hero. Just completely flawed, right? It's flawed beyond measure, but their intentions and their actions are pure, and they're always they're seeking to become a better person, a better version of themselves. And for me, it's like, I love to be the anti-hero. And if it means, kind of veering off course, so be it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Perfect answer. No, that's kind of like I was expecting as an answer, and I'm very happy you said it.
Cool. Awesome, man.
But, so we usually have, the last question is really tailored to you. Okay. We do things in threes, as you can see.
There we go.
Yeah.
This is his favorite part over here. His favorite part.
So I'm really interested to see how you're gonna answer this, because I know it's gonna be good.
No worries.
So
I'm ready.
I have the heading of the audience.
Yeah.
But if you had to interview 3 people, all right, deceased or alive, you had the chance, anyone of your choice, to have that conversation with, to talk with. I see that you're very extrovert. Who do you want to talk to learn from, and have those 3 interviews with? And maybe it's having 3 people that you would review a video together with. You'd have a sidekick for a few times.
So, put this here. This is my great grandfather, and he is the first of the Shaitani family.
Okay.
Wow.
And so he was around during the Ottoman Empire in Lebanon, and he made the pilgrimage to where we currently are from in Lebanon, and he's from a town called Shaitaniya. And that's why when he arrived, they said, oh, there's Shaitani, because that's how you say it in Lebanese, and they referred to him as Shaitani, and that's how we got our last name. So I would love to sit down with him and to just understand where we all began and just our origin story. That would be my first go-to. Shout out to him.
Very cool.
And the second person I would want to interview would be the person I was named after, so Ali, in history. He was the cousin of the Prophet Muhammad, and he did a lot throughout history, and he's known and revered as a great man, very wise. He was a philosopher, and he led a really interesting life. And so for me to share the same name as him, and Ali in Arabic means the Most High, and that would be such an amazing and powerful conversation to have if I could with him. And the third person that I can have an interview with is the person who had the most impact on my life, which would be Muhammad Ali. He's at the end he's on my outro screen at the end of all my videos, and he lived a life of rebellion, of going against the grain, of proving the world wrong, of predicting and accomplishing his own predictions. Just everything. He was the full package. Every time I had a book report in school, it was about Muhammad Ali. Anytime I had to do a presentation in front of class, it was about him. So he just had such a huge impact on me. I'd love to just pick his brain. And I have a lot more, but those would be my top 3 as far as who Lucky Loush would really chop it up with the most.
It's very interesting. I like how you teed it up because you give a good idea of where you came from, past, present, and then he'd be able to give you advice as well for the future.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. Let's sum it up. Someone starting it off. What do you think they should really focus on? And I think just in answering those 3, you really just went into it. Like, I was like, no need for my question.
I mean, I've obviously thought about these people quite a bit. And then, you have the usuals, if I were to extend the list, like, the influencers of today.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much value that would really have for me from a life perspective. I think just theoretically, it's great to hear from people that just know more than you. But in terms of personally, who would fill whatever missing piece of who you are is the most, because we're all after legacy. Mm-hmm. Whether it was the Greeks and the Romans who built statues after themselves, or the Arabs who evolved literacy and the written and spoken word, or whoever, we all seek that bit of legend here on Earth, and we all want to leave that behind, right? Mm-hmm. So that maybe in future podcasts somebody will mention the Marketeers or Lucky Loush. So just to have that would be super special.
Yeah. And where could people reach out to you now? If someone wants to either follow you or has a few comments, a few questions, maybe wants to work with you guys, collaborate. Sure. How do they reach out to you? Yeah, so you can reach out to me at Lucky, Lucky, Loush, Loush, @gmail.com. That's my business line. Or you can holler at me on Instagram. It's Lucky Loush, one word. And on YouTube, same thing, Lucky Loush. I am on Twitter as well, and I'm starting to kind of become a little bit more active there. But any of those 4 would be great, and I'd love to hear from any and all of you, and any collaboration opportunities are always welcomed. Awesome. And I'd love to do more of these with you guys for sure. You're gonna
have to come to Montreal next time.
Oh, we have to go for dinner.
We're gonna go for dinner. Yeah,
that's it. Bring the wife. We're going all of us.
Any reason to go to Montreal, man. Honestly, it's an hour and a half away, and I'm ready to go, and I'll bring some tequila with me.
Awesome. We're talking. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, boys. Thank you for having me.